Today is August 28th. I am very tired. I just woke up because we have breaking news from Sony. Again, they did just come out with a newer camera, but they have two newer cameras, and it is not the a7S Mark III, so we're not even going to joke about that, because at this point, I think it's a little bit of a troll. But to ruin Canon's parade when they just released their 90D and M6 Mark II, Sony has the a6100 and the a6600. Let's just dive into them real quick. Basic information. Let's talk about it. So Sony just came out with the 6100 and the 6600. They're announcing that pretty much right now as I just edited this and posted this. All this stuff leaked with all the information. So here's what it is. They're calling the a6100 the standard camera in the Alpha line. They're calling the 6400 the advanced, and then the 6600 the flagship. Flagship is of the crop sensors, not like the A9 for that matter. But it's obviously they're replacing essentially the a6000 with the 6100 and the 6500, in my opinion, with the 6600. And it's interesting because just recently the Sony a6300 was basically listed as discontinued. So hopefully they're paring that down. The 6300 was a weird fit in there. Yeah, so let's dive into the Sony a6100. So the 6100 is going to have a flip-up screen, like the selfie screen, which I see that they're smart by doing, even though it still impedes bigger microphones that you have. But like I said, there's been alternatives out there that I use for like the M50, etc., that you stick into the side with an adapter. But flip-up screen, kind of like the 5100, which was very underrated for what it was back in the day. So you get that. It's 24 megapixels, improved AF compared to where everything was. 425 phase and 425 contrast autofocusing points. So it's going to be very good. Sony has improved their autofocus game tenfold, and you're going to even see that in their more beginner standard camera. 24 megapixels, so you're not seeing a huge bump there up to the 30 or 40 range, which I'm glad that that didn't get into. 11 continuous frames per second while shooting. That's also very good. And you're getting 4K video to 30 frames per second, but of course there's no IBIS and there's no log in this camera, but that's why it's the more entry standard camera for them. And just like the a6000, I expect this to sell very, very well for them, as well it should. But let's talk about the flagship. So Sony's flagship, the a6600, will also still be 24 megapixels. I expected maybe a little bit of a pixel bump since that camera is usually, you know, $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 for the most part, especially looking back at the a6500. The one big thing you got with the 6500, you're also getting with this, and that is 5-axis in-body stabilization. So there you go, you have it there. That's why it's their flagship model. You also get all of the log information, so that way you can shoot your raw video, S-Log, HDR, blah, blah, blah. You get all of that in there, so that's the big key if you want to step it up. The flagship. And pretty much the same thing, 11 continuous frames per second. You do have 4K video, 30 frames per second, like I said, with the log. You do have the newer kind of autofocus stuff like the a6400, the a6100, but you also, with this one, get the newer real-time IAF for like movies and everything. So if you want that as well, you want that little box tracking around as you're making your videos, 6600. And the last 2 points really is that it uses a flip screen, like the one that pops out like the a6400. So it's very smart they're getting consistent with this. They just need to figure it out more for their full frame line. Lastly but not leastly, it uses the newer Z battery, so it's going to improve the battery life of the more entry line if you don't go full frame. So basically, that's what you need to know about the 6100, the 6600, is what you expect. In my opinion, for at least the a6100, yeah, I don't see what else they needed to do. I still think the a6000 is a great camera. Just needed a flip screen like the 5000 line had. And it looks like we're getting all of that. Let me know your thoughts down below. Once again, there's probably a little bit more that I could have dove into, but these are the things you really need to know. Other than that, they're cameras. They take pictures by you.